We're talking about Christmas this week, and we're talking about what you can be doing as an individual for you and your family, and what you can be doing for your team during this Christmas time leading up to some very stressful days. Are you ready? Because it's time.
You're listening to the Church Digital Sidekick Podcast, part of the TCD Podcast Network.
Hey heroes, my name is Tom Pounder, and this is the Church Digital Sidekick Podcast. This is the podcast where ministers come and we talk about how we can do ministry more effectively in this very digital and online world. And today I've got my friend Corey Sullivan on the podcast, and we're going to be talking specifically about what we can be doing on these few days leading up to Christmas, and then what we can be doing after Christmas as well to take care of us as people and our families and also our ministry teams. So I'm really excited about this interview. So without any further ado, let's get into the interview right now with Corey Sullivan. All right, with me right now is Corey Sullivan. Ho, 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 Corey. You should have white in your beard right now.
I have like a little gray coming in, and Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
Dude, you're too young to have any gray hair.
I got a little coming in. It's not about the age, it's about the miles.
That's true too. Okay, so Corey, this is kind of our like Christmas episode here. We're a few days away from Christmas.
You look festive.
I am festive. In fact, I'm drinking from a Christmas coffee mug. I love these coffee mugs. I found these, like I went to go visit a friend and their grandmother had them. And I'm like, I have to find these coffee mugs. Yeah. They're like awesome. So
how long is your Christmas tree been up at this time since we're recording? Maybe a couple of days before Christmas.
Let's see here. I started like a week and a half before Thanksgiving. A good week and a half, almost 2 weeks probably before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, ours has been up about a week or so. So
well, you have a real tree though.
Yeah, I don't do fake, man. I can't do fake. That's like you celebrating fake Christmas. All right. Yeah. Like I don't believe in it. I'm like Clark Griswold the whole way with a real tree. Fill up the space, all that kind of stuff.
You'll have to send me a picture one day of your Christmas card. So yeah.
You want my Christmas card or my Christmas tree?
Your Christmas tree. Sorry. Okay, Corey, let's get some of this nitty gritty stuff out of the way. Yeah. Tell people who've never heard our podcast or heard from you who you are and what you do.
My name is Corey Sullivan. Right now, I help different youth ministries just maximize their volunteers and their systems to help impact kids and families that they're serving. I also full-time run a youth program throughout our state to help kids who are underserved get connected to community resources and people to help them thrive. So youth and families has always been my number one driver. So I just got connected to Tom a few years ago, and he hasn't gotten rid of me since. So
a few years ago, man, we've known each other for more than just a few years.
Is it like officially, when's our 10-year friendship anniversary? It has to be like this year or next year.
Yeah, it's coming up. I mean, it really is because, yeah.
Do we have to get together? Do I have to send you a card or anything?
No, we just.
Like, I've known you longer than I've known my wife.
Yeah. I mean, our friendship runs deep, man. Our friendship runs deep. Okay. Well, and Corey's up in Rochester. Is it snowing up there yet?
It has. Today's actually it's 61 out though.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So it's been snowing all week. We had a couple inches. It stuck to the ground. And then Rochester weather is notorious. It's going to jump back up to 60s randomly. Yes. So it was 61 today.
Yeah, where I'm at in Northern Virginia, it's 70 degrees today. But then it will go down back to 50, I think, tomorrow. So, oh well. We don't have white Christmases here. Do you have white Christmases up in Rochester?
Yeah, it's a disappointment when you don't have a white Christmas.
Oh, really?
Like most of the time we do. Sometimes like it'll miss and then it'll be within like the next week. But like if it's not a white Christmas, it's pretty disappointing.
I probably need to come up and visit you, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been
the small town that It's a Wonderful Life is like modeled on is maybe like 40 minutes away from here.
Really? Okay, yeah. Because again, we were just talking about It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life is my favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's very interesting.
Yeah, the town that it's modeled on is probably like 45 minutes away from Rochester, New York.
Dang.
So we'll come up, you can do a little visit.
Is it set up like how it would? I mean, again, I know it was modeled after, you know, the set was modeled after, but like, does it really? Could you walk through it?
It's a small town vibe, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure. Like when the movie was shot, it was much bigger in that kind of sense, but it's still a pretty decent sized town.
Yeah, well, that's good. Okay, so this is the Christmas episode. We're again a few days before Christmas, and again, I think ministers are pretty much spent right now. They're exhausted. Some people probably already had, when they're listening to this right now, they probably already had some Christmas Eve
Yeah.
services or Christmas services, and there's a lot of stress going on. So today, I wanted to just kind of focus on what can we do individually and as ministers to care for ourselves and care for others around this Christmas time. So I have some things, you have some things. So let's kind of go back and forth a little bit on
Yeah.
what we would say.
Do you want to go start off with like what you can do as a minister, or what can we do to kind of still show up for our teams? What do you want to start off with?
Let's do as a minister.
Awesome. So like, I think as a minister, spending time with your family, like unattached, turn off your phone, spend time and be present with your family, and enjoy your holiday is probably the number one thing you can do. Is that super difficult sometimes? Of course.
Yeah.
But instead of saying, hey, I have to be off all day long for certain things, hey, these 4 hours, I'm not reachable. I think sometimes pastors put on that extra burden on themselves that they're 24/7 available. And that's not really good, right? Like, that's not good for our mental health. That's not good for our physical health. It's not good for our family relationships. And so, fighting for that time to say, I'm going to be cut off from the world, but just spending time with my family for this set amount of time frame is probably one of the number one things that you can do to spend that time together.
Yeah, I agree completely. That was one of my top priorities too. What I wanted to mention is, and again, we live in a digital world. We live in an online world where we're always connected, and you got your phone around with you all the time. It's so helpful and handy, but it can also be distracting to you as well. And so the key here is that Christmas is a great family time, family opportunity for you. And especially if you have young kids, you want to be making memories with your family, not just memories with your church. Okay. Because again, I like to say this all the time. You're tied to your family for the rest of your life, whether it's a good relationship or a bad relationship. I hope it's a really good relationship. But with your church, churches come and go. I'm on my fourth church right now. And so I've been here the longest of all my churches, but churches will come and go. Your family stays with you forever. You need to create family memories.
And more than just you being on your phone memories, right?
Yes.
Or like, oh, everyone's taking a picture of where's dad or where's mom.
Yeah.
They got to be pulled away from something. So just being present, I think, with your family is huge. And I would also say, like, take time for yourself. Like, take it, like, get up early. One of my favorite things to do when the Christmas tree is up is get up early, have a cup of coffee, and just sit and turn on the Christmas lights and just sit.
Yes. And
just sit in the quiet. And it's kind of dark except for the Christmas lights, and just have my quiet time, and think through the day, think through the year, think through next year, but it's quiet. It's nothing like organized, or I'm not journaling anything. I don't have a pen in my hand. I don't have my phone out. I'm just sitting sometimes in the quiet and trying to enjoy it, and trying to do that a few times during the season.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And I think one of the ways that you can set yourself up to be successful, one, with time with your family, but also time by yourself as an individual, is to let your church know that you're taking this time and the kind of do not to be disturbed. Yeah. I mean, let the people that report to you or that you report to saying, hey, I'm taking this time to spend with my family, or I'm taking this time to spend with myself. Please don't contact me here. Put your phone on do not disturb or whatever it is you need to do, but really eliminate the distractions that could possibly happen, because it doesn't take much for me to be distracted. And if people start contacting me, that really distracts me quickly. And so therefore, let them know ahead of time, hey, I'm taking these 2 hours off. I'm going to be with my family. Don't expect me to get back to you.
Yeah. I would say even with that, and kind of tying a couple of these things together, is for me, what stands out about this time of year is the idea of like tradition, right? And traditions. And so take the time to commit to the traditions you've held to, or to discover new traditions. I have a young family. We're always like, what do we want to do? Right? Because like there's so many good things our friends are doing or our families doing with their kids and their families. It's like, well, what do we want to be doing? Right. And so we have to take the time to create traditions for ourselves. Right. And so figuring that out for you guys and how to enjoy this holiday season, this Christmas season is going to be super important for yourself, for your family, and for your ministry.
Yeah.
Right. Like it will benefit your ministry when you are rested. You can't, everyone says it, right? You can't pour from an empty cup, right? Like that's the go-to saying for this kind of stuff. And so take the time to get refreshed, eat more than you should of Christmas cookies, right? Like, and enjoy it and be merry, and spread that, right? Spread that, and not just fight for yourself with it, but then leaning into our next topic too, but fight for it for your teams.
Yeah.
And fight for it for your people in this time.
Yeah, before we get into the teams, let's just focus real quick. Because again, part of the thing too is right after Christmas, a lot of churches and ministries, they give that week off after between Christmas and New Year's. And so really use that as a time off. I mean, like, I know it sounds like a no-brainer type of thing, but you'd be surprised how many people are still working and putting in lots of hours. If your church is going to give you that time off, take it.
I think too, people will take that, see that it's time off, and they use it to fill the things that they felt like they were falling behind in the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't, right? Like don't do that. Like, because you're not taking yourself giving yourself the rest that you need.
Yeah.
That's been given to you.
Right. So rest up, take care of yourself, do the things that you need to do. Again, it's a crazy time leading up to Christmas, but make sure you're still taking some time off and hanging out. If you don't need to go in the office early, don't go in the office because you're going to be working late on Christmas Eve or working later on some of the evenings. Don't go in at 9 o'clock and stay there till midnight. Go in at noon or whatever time is acceptable for that, but take some time and make sure you're investing in your family and make sure you're investing in yourself during this time. All right, so let's switch to teams. What would you say about that?
Well, just piggyback on that last thing and just reiterating, like, just as you're fighting for your own time, fight for your teams to have that time too. Yes. Right? Encourage it, set them up for success. So don't be giving them new projects. Don't be giving them deadlines for that week, right? Being mindful of that time and honoring people's boundaries that they are setting up. So when they say, hey, I'm not going to please don't call me during these couple hours. Like, don't call them during those couple hours, right? Like those little things, man. I think that's going to be good. So fighting for their time. And I'd also say, as the year wraps up, as Christmas and traditions are here, I think there's a really good opportunity to honor this past year and honor the volunteers and the teams that you have, whether they're staff or just strictly volunteer. Like, reach out to them on a one-on-one basis. Don't send a blast email to everyone saying, thanks, guys. Like, reach out to a personal email or a personal text message. It doesn't have to be lengthy, but man, what a personal thank you does, right? Like, can change someone's attitude. It can go from burnout back to feeling reinvigorated, right? So have that personal time with your team just to say thanks, to get excited over this past year and celebrate. This is the season for celebration and parties. Like, so do something to celebrate.
Yeah. If you didn't have a Christmas party with your volunteer team or whatnot leading up to Christmas, take the time after Christmas and have a New Year party. I think you and I did that, Corey. One year it got so crazy. When we were on the same team together, we had it at the very beginning of January when people were back in the rhythm, and we had a Happy New Year party, and that was a fun thing to do. I like what you said here earlier, and it reminds me about the individual messages. Those group text messages are great because people can go back and forth and chatter and all that kind of stuff. But there's also an impersonality of it, or impersonal part of it. And when you send an individual text to someone and letting them know how much you appreciate them or care for them, that goes a long way. So think about how you can send personal individual text messages to your team to encourage them. And again, you tell me if I'm wrong here, but I like to send on the big holidays, to send Merry Christmas texts to my team, individual texts, We can send
Yeah.
an individual text, or you can send a group text if you want. But
Yeah.
I think it's important to let them know that you're thinking of them on this special time and appreciate
And,
what they've done.
and that happens all the time with our family and our friends. If someone's texting saying Merry Christmas, why
Yeah.
not extend it to that person? I think sometimes maybe someone's listening and say, hey, doesn't that contradict what you said earlier? No, like make that time. And I would say this, like if you're a leader that is new to the texting or new to like honoring your volunteer team through like a text message, like one of the biggest tips, like be specific in why you're thankful for them.
Yeah.
So like, don't just be like, hey man, thanks. I appreciate you. Great year this year. Right. Because that's going to be this very generic thing, but really be intentional to reflect and like, hey, what did they help me through this year? What was something that stood out to me this year? And be specific and be like, hey, this year, when I think about you, I think about this time, man, I'm so thankful for you. And it helps create that, again, that personal connection to them versus a generic blast off like text message that they may mean well, but you know, how can we personalize that more?
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I want to go back to something you said earlier too about the time off. Again, your team will go and do a lot of ministry work before Christmas, and they're going to do a lot after Christmas. But you use that time in the 2 weeks between Christmas and New Year's and that time, whatever works for you. But I like to take 2 weeks. And I don't ask my leaders to do anything. In fact, I was actually just texting with a leader today, and we were talking about an event that we have coming up in February. And she had expressed, she said, like, listen, I'm in. I want to help plan this thing with you. So let's do this. And I said, great. We'll start in early January. Until then, we're not going to focus on it. We're going to start in the early January because technically, yeah, maybe I could start planning it the week after Christmas, but why? Let them embrace their time with their family. Let them embrace time with their friends and hit hard on it early January, but give them that time off.
Yeah. Or just let them know, like, hey, like come up with some thinking ideas, some thoughts, or, you know, and we'll meet in that time frame. So if they're like super gung ho on it and like, all right, like come up with those ideas, let's fine tune them. And then January, that first week, let's schedule that meeting and give them that meeting, but like set that boundary to say, yeah, I'm not going to handle it right now.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Okay. Anything else?
With teams, again, like I was just thinking too, you know, a thoughtful thing is, you know, find a way those traditions to honor them. But there's that text message in my head. I was like, oh, what if you did like drop off cookie, you know, trays to your teams and said hi and just knocked on the door, dropped it off and left, right? Yep. Nothing too crazy or concerning. But I think taking the time to show up for them and honor their time this season is going to be the two biggest things that you can do to help them refresh and enjoy the season.
Yeah, if you've not done any appreciation gifts, again, December is a perfect time to do a Christmas gift for your team. It could be gift cards, it could be a basket of food or whatnot. It could be a variety of different things. But if you haven't taken that time to appreciate your leaders, definitely set some time right around the new year to make sure that you appreciate them in some way. Say thank you to them for their service and what they're doing for the kingdom of heaven.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, Corey, this is great. Again, some simple things that we can do as ministers, but also some simple things we can do for our team. Any final thoughts, comments, or questions from you, Corey Sullivan?
Again, eat more Christmas cookies than you're supposed to. Like, enjoy this time. Enjoy those small little wins. Don't go to the gym every morning to run your 6 miles. Like, eat an extra cookie and spread the cheer. Like, if where everything else can sometimes take a negative turn or be frustrating, be intentional. Be like, hey, I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to stand my ground and be a positive influence for the people around me.
That's great. Great words. Corey, how can people connect with you on social media if they got questions for you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. Instagram's kind of the big thing for me, and that's rally_youth or big_Sully55 if you want my personal page as well. And then you can find me some blogging, a whole bunch of resources. I love creating resources to help kids thrive and to help leaders and families connect with one another. And that's at rallyyouth.com.
And despite my best intentions to try to get him more involved with Twitter, he just refuses and he's there. He's on.
Listen, I got to have a boundary, man. I got to have something. I got to like excel in one thing. I'm going to be, I think it's, what does the John Acuff say? Strategically ignorant. in some of those areas, right? Strategically incompetent, I think it is.
And Corey also does, if you're a part of the Orange curriculum, Corey does some devotionals for Orange and the Bible studies. So if you're reading one of the devotionals right now, currently with your team, hey, it might be Corey's writing that you're reading. So, Corey, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
All right, so what did you think of the episode? What stood out to you? What are you doing right now to take care of yourself? What are you doing to take care of your family? What are you doing to take care of your team during this very tough and stressful time of year? It's a great time of year, but it's a stressful time of year as well. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Hit me up on Twitter at @TAPounder. I would love to hear your thoughts on it and see what you're doing, and then encourage you along the way as well. I probably could have hit on a few different things, but I'd love to hear from you. So again, go to Twitter, hit me up. I would love to talk to you a little bit more about that. Also, if you enjoyed this podcast, definitely make sure you subscribe to it. It's the Church Digital Sidekick Podcast. So you can find this on YouTube. You can also find this on iTunes, Spotify, and all the other podcast channels. And also make sure you check out the theChurch.digital site. We've got tons of great content on there almost every single day. It's lots of great content and even more to come. There's lots of stuff to encourage you in your digital ministry. And then finally, make sure you check out the Digital Bootcamp Facebook group. There we've got daily encouragement on how you can take digital tools and trends that are happening around the world and apply it into your ministry context. That's at the Digital Bootcamp. I've got all those links in the show notes below, so make sure you check out that. All right, heroes, well, I hope you have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and a wonderful holiday with your family and friends. Merry Christmas.